For more on what's happening in Sri Lanka, let me turn to author and journalist Chidanand Rajghatta. Chidanand, President Rajapaksa has obviously left the country. Now we have Prime Minister Wickremesinghe as acting president. But this is really not enough to satisfy the throng of protesters we've seen in the streets of Colombo. What is it they want at this point?
Asieh, thank you for having me. It's incredible what we are seeing. You know, Sri Lanka is not just any other country. It's not a country at the bottom of the international totem pole. It's not Yemen or Afghanistan or the Gambia or any of these countries. It has had a long tradition of fairly stable governments. It's a middle-income country, and to see the meltdown of the country is quite incredible, and it's also instructive. The sense I'm getting is what people want is a stability and a sense of a future. And what has happened is Sri Lanka has just spiraled into a black hole with absolute abdication. The shocking thing is every institution is now has abdicated, literally. I mean, the politicians are distrusted. The military, in many small countries, usually the military steps up because that's seen as a stable institution. In Sri Lanka, even the military has washed its hands off. And then, of course, the international community is completely oblivious to this. I mean, India has made some gestures of support, but obviously India is inhibited by past experience. They don't want to be seen as tinkering in internal Sri Lankan politics. The United States has other distractions, Ukraine and so on. China, Russia, every country is distracted with its own problems. So the international community is not turning up.
But Chidanand, what can the international community do at this point?
Well, for instance, they can send a team, they can rebuild, they can encourage inter-party talks to have some kind of national government or a cross-party government in Sri Lanka. Including getting the military involved to provide stability. I mean, it's incredible that mobs walk into, the presidential, secretariat and have a picnic. I can understand the agitation of the people. Here's a family which ruled Sri Lanka with an iron hand, which, seems to have cleaned out its coffers and made disastrous decisions. But right now, there needs to be some kind of national consensus of a national government or a national team, a caretaker till, presidential elections are announced or conducted. I heard one commentator say they don't even have the money to conduct elections. I mean, that's incredible. Sri Lanka is not a poor country. Its social indices, its economic metrics are far superior to other countries in South Asia, for instance. And what this tells us is, beyond all these metrics, when there is institutional collapse, it can be disastrous. And this is an instructive lesson to many, many countries.
So, Chidanand, two quick questions for you, because unfortunately we're running out of time.
Sure.
Should President Rajapaksa, was that a mistake to leave the country, number one? And number two, what is going to happen if there's no compromise, no political compromise between the protesters, what they want, and this government, which is, I don't even know if there's a government anymore, a government in chaos?
Right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, absolutely, it was wrong on President Rajapaksa's part to bolt. I mean, he has to be held accountable. But that's what dictators always do. They flee, they run, they hide. He'll be in exile, living a luxurious life, presumably, having made arrangements. I believe he went to Maldives, and then onwards he's probably going to Singapore. I hear. But he will be brought to account. I'm sure the Sri Lankans have a fairly well-developed judicial system too. But as for the immediate future, a national government, a caretaker government, to get things stable, to clear the mobs from government offices, that's the immediate need, and it requires a national consensus. I'm surprised that the Sri Lankan military also has stepped back. Beyond merely appealing to the people, they're of course obviously afraid that there could be a bloodbath. But it requires politicians who have credibility across parties to come and make an appeal and say, all right, this is where we're going to form a national government, and to stabilize the situation. I don't see that happening. I hope that happens. It's a beautiful country. It's a wonderful country. It deserves the best, and it's really, really sad what's happening. it's astonishing because you would think that, we had seen the worst in Afghanistan, Yemen, places like that. To imagine Sri Lanka, having a meltdown is just
Yeah. A
unbelievable.
political and economic meltdown. Chidanand Rajghatta, thank you very much.